Good morning, happy Monday. Hope you're doing all right, and I hope you enjoyed the Ted McDougall interview that was on this channel yesterday. As you'll have seen, it went on, so we've got him back again for the second part. So do subscribe to the channel to enjoy that. But this is the second look, a chance for us to take a considered view after our 3-2 victory at Dean Court against Birmingham City at the weekend. To help me go through things, we've got Jeff Hayward with me. Jeff, how you doing?
Bit of a better weekend than last weekend.
Yeah, we've got smiles on our faces at last. Nice to see, isn't it? We got Tom Jordan here as well. Tom, you all right, mate?
Yeah, relief, getting back to winning ways. That's the main thing.
And also Neil Dawson, pod regular. Neil, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, very good. Nice to be able to buy the Sunday papers again with a smile on your face.
Yeah, completely agree. And it was a hard-fought win against the Blues. In some ways, with a caretaker manager in charge that has only just taken over, the performance didn't really matter. We just needed the result. But we got the 3 points. And yeah, Jeff, there's a lot of relief, isn't there?
A lot of relief to win that game. We had to win it after the week we've had. To have lost that or dropped a point. Yeah, I mean, so important. I thought some of the results went for us as well over the weekend. You know, like Norwich haven't scored again. You know, they're showing a bit of fragility. Watford drawing at Coventry, a game you would have expected them to win. So for us to get 3 points on the board was massive.
Huge, Tom, wasn't it?
Yeah, massive. And like Jeff said, you know, a few results went our way. Trying to get a bit of a gap on the teams, you know, kind of 7th and lower, and also keep up with the chasing pack. You know, Watford and teams like that. There's a few teams now that are going through a bit of an inconsistent patch as well. So we just got to win games. And yeah, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't pretty. I didn't expect us to suddenly be brilliant. Haven't seen how we've been lately, but we just had to get the 3 points, and we managed to do it, and that's all that matters.
Neil, did you see much of Jonathan Woodgate's press conference on the Friday?
Yeah, saw the press conference on the Friday, saw the press conference afterwards on Sunday. Loved his comment to Neil Parrott when Neil Parrott said you won't have known anything about Danjuma.
Yeah.
The reason why I love that is I do think that within Bournemouth we're so insular, and I think we just, because we don't go looking for managers elsewhere or players elsewhere particularly, I think we just assume that that no one else does. So clearly Jonathan Woodgate, I bet Middlesbrough probably looked at Danjuma or something, but I thought that was great.
And what did you make of his persona and how he carried himself across within the press conference? Because I was actually quite impressed by what I heard. Hadn't really heard him speak too much in a managerial role previously. No,
he's no, because I mean, I suppose unless you're a Borough fan, you probably wouldn't have, would you? But he's, I thought he's nice and understated. It's not all about him. He clearly put a lot of praise towards the backroom team and how they've helped him settle in, which was nice. I just thought he went about himself in the way you'd expect a caretaker manager to go about themselves. Didn't say, oh, I really want to get the job or anything like that. Understated, all about the players, all about the backroom staff. I mean, I understand he's fluent Spanish, isn't he? So is what I've heard from his time in Madrid. So, I mean, that I'm sure that will help with Lerma, Rico and Riquelme. So yeah, he's doing what you kind of would expect a caretaker to do in the early days, isn't he?
So one of his first things he had to do was sort of team, Jeff. And at 2:00, we found out the lineup, and it was Begovic, Smith, Carter Vickers, Steve Cook, Lloyd Kelly, Lerma, Lewis Cook, Jack Wilshere, David Brooks, Shane Long, and Danjuma. What did you think when you saw that lineup announced?
Pleased that it was reverting to a back four. Pleased that Carter Vickers was in. I think Mepham the last couple of games he's just not quite there yet. And the only reservation I had was seeing Shane Long playing up top. I mean, Shane Long hasn't played much for the Saints this year, so to ask him to lead the line on his own was going to be a big ask. Personally, I would have preferred to see Sam up there, particularly after the second half he put in. And I think that sort of sends slightly the wrong signal out to Sam as well. And he's had a lot of those this year. He needs to be given a chance. So hopefully he'll get a start against Burnley and show us what he can do.
Yeah, Tom, what do you think when you saw it?
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I was happy with the system, how it looked. Wasn't sure if Brooks would maybe start, haven't been off form and things like that. But yeah, I was happy with the team. I agreed at the time. I would have gone with Surridge. I think looking in hindsight, I suppose we're hearing that Dom Solanke's injury might be worse than we potentially thought. And obviously Shane Long's cup tied for Tuesday, and whether he's just thinking, because he kept Shane Long on for 90 minutes, whether he's thinking I'll give 90 for Shane in this game and then I'll have to play Surridge in 90 against Burnley. So I suppose in hindsight I can understand it a little bit more. But so it'll be a big opportunity for Sam because he's bound to play on Tuesday because he'll be the only striker we have. So that'll be a chance for him to kind of stake a claim. But yeah, in general, I was happy. I was pleased to see Carter Vickers back. Like Jeff said, I think he deserves it with Mepham having a few bad games. Maybe I was interested to see if Pearson would come in, but obviously he wasn't to be, and was chuffed to see Jack Wilshere start as well.
Yeah, and we started the game, and it was no different to the rest of them, Neil, was it?
No. I think the key thing to point about with Jack Wilshere playing as well was that he was playing back in the number 10 role, which was what we all spoke about on the last podcast. Well, we were also confused as to why Jason Tindall in such a key game played him in the centre midfield. So, but no, with Wilshere back in that number 10 slot, nothing changed. But I was reading some of the comments on Twitter about, clearly it's not, can't be the manager, it's got to be the players. You think, well, hang on a minute. Jonathan Woodgate had 3 days with that squad of players who have been in a terminal mental decline now since Christmas. So I don't know what people were expecting. If we brought Jurgen Klopp in, would we have gone out and won 5-0 and played wonderful football? I think it takes a long time to reverse some of the traits of what we've got. But no, it was not particularly different. Danjuma running up blind alleys, fullbacks not attacking. It all had a sort of a familiar ring of predictability about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, when Thomas Tuchel came in for Chelsea, I think he had a few days before they played Wolves, and that was a boring 0-0 at Stamford Bridge, so he didn't exactly have time. But even that week he had, you could see them playing like a different side in their subsequent games. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he could do if he was given time. But obviously, we all want a permanent manager to be named. And Jeff, as I said, started off not particularly great, and there were number of individual errors during that first half. I mean, Lloyd Kelly was culpable. Lewis Cook at times trying to do a drag back in his own penalty area. It seemed to be the same old.
Yeah, David Brooks trying to dribble out, trying to nutmeg somebody in our own half, and it was really frustrating. Begovic made a terrific save. Steve Cook, a phenomenal clearance off the line.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, wow. And you kind of thought we might ride it out and get away with it. But then again, after starting quite positively, those individual mistakes, you could see it was beginning to affect the players. They were losing their confidence again, and it was having the reverse effect on Birmingham. They thought, hey, we've got a chance here. So the mistake when it came to Begovic, really, I think he should have stopped that cross. Instead, fumbles it, easy tap in, and it did feel a bit like every game we've watched since Christmas.
Yeah, Begovic was our saviour on about 17 minutes when, of course, Sanchez, as Jeff said, had that shot which Steve Cook had off the line. Then moments later, I think Sunjic had a snapshot which Beggs dived down low to his right, really good save. And then Tom, only about 5 or 6 minutes later, then an inexplicable error from him.
Yes, it's horrible with the life of a keeper, isn't it? He's probably made 2 mistakes this season, but they're so they're so there because there's a goalkeeper is in the back of the net. Most of our players this season have made at least that amount every 20 minutes. So he's kept us in games. I don't think anyone's gonna go mad at Asmir Begovic, but it was poor from him. He'll know that. Don't really know what happened, really. He just seemed to have weak wrists. I don't really know what he was thinking, whether he misjudged the flight of the ball. I'm not sure whether he thought it might take a touch, but either way, it touched him, and unfortunately, it fell right to the path for their lad to finish off. So, yeah, frustrating, and like we've said, it didn't look any different to how we've started games of late. But like Neil said, I'd have been absolutely shocked if we had come out a completely different team, considering Woodgate's had a couple of days. I expect, as we've all said, I expected us to be similar to what we have been. It was just about getting over the line, just bundling our way to a win, which obviously ultimately we did. But yeah, won a great start, and going one behind we were just hoping we could ride it out, I think. But unfortunately, that error made us go one behind.
And it was nearly 2, apart from the offside flag saved us. I think it was Pedersen with a strike. Yeah. Ridiculously good volley, Jeff, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, I was like thinking, please God, let that be offside. Please God, because 2-0, I think all the fragility we've shown, I don't think we'd have come back from that. So thank goodness. On that occasion, the linesman decided that he would rule the offside, which he didn't later. But anyway, won't go into that quite now.
Yeah, we came back into it though. I think you're getting our defenders, players like Lloyd Kelly, our fullbacks forward a bit more really helped because he didn't seem to be giving Danjuma any support, and Danjuma constantly was running down cul-de-sacs in the first half of that 45 minutes. But it improved. Jack Wilshere started to pull the strings a little bit more, and then Danjuma, he made it 1-1 and cracking finish. It reminded me a little bit, dare I say it, of Wee Man scoring against Leicester when we won 4-2. It was a similar kind of run, and he cut into his right foot, Neil.
Yeah, he's our idol. We love to reminisce about Wee Man's greatest moments on this show.
But that was one, yeah.
I'm sure we could find a better example if we wanted to, but no, you're right. He did used to do that a lot. But so key point I think you made there. The whole left side gelling is not gelling at all. I was thinking about what is the difference between us since Christmas and prior, and it was all around. If you're playing inverted wingers, they've got the released fullbacks outside them. Otherwise, all they're doing is running into trouble, into a blind alley, and the whole play gets condensed. And I think that's either on purpose or by accident. That's what stopped happening. And I think it's a combination of personnel and us trying to be more cautious. And so, it was. There was no link up down the left at all. Danjuma wasn't offering any defensive cover, and Kelly wasn't offering any attacking support. So it's just a disaster. And it's similar on the right, to be honest, just not as noticeable and not quite as bad because the personnel's better. But Jack Wilshere, absolutely outstanding run vision. That's why you want him in the number 10 slot. His pass was perfectly weighted and composed. He took all the right amount of time, and then Danjuma, little dink inside, which we know he does very, very well, and then found the bottom corner. Excellent goal.
Can I just say something about Danjuma, right? I think he encapsulates everything about this team at the moment. He's a great individual, and he's capable of brilliant moments of quality. He's also incredibly frustrating because Lloyd Kelly has made runs for him in the past and never got the ball. And I'd be thinking, if I was left back, well, he's never going to pass to me. Why should I make the run? And I think that's part of the issue. Sometimes you think, play the ball. You're surrounded by 3 people. Play. There's a pass on. There is a pass on. Instead, he tries to do it all on his own. He's a gifted individual, but he's got to know when to pass, when to release the ball. And sometimes you see him going into the area and there's an inside pass to somebody who's better placed to take the shot. Danjuma will take the shot. You know that because that's the sort of player he is. If he could just be more of a team player at those critical moments. And to be fair, in the second half, both those goals were Danjuma being a bit more of a team player because he actually is surrounded by 4 Birmingham City players in that second half. Squares the ball inside to, I think it was David Brooks, who then feeds it onto Adam Smith who crosses. So that is the strength. If he realises it, I'm a marked man and actually I can suck in a lot of players and release somebody rather than trying to beat 4 people, be so much better. And I think that encapsulates so much of our team at the moment. Individuals who think they're much better than they are, trying to do it all on their own rather than playing as a team and thinking we're a team, we've got to play as a team. But just be a bit more clever, a bit smarter about how you do it rather than, giving the ball away, trying to do too much. Yeah,
I'd move him up front as part of a 2. I think if you're playing wide in the modern game, you've got to be so key to your team's defending, and you're also so key to the interlinking and passing that Jeff was talking about. And I just don't think it's his game. I think if we played him in a front 2, and gave him freedom, then it's less important because the ball's going to come to him when you want him to shoot, not when you want him to try and create something and to shoot.
Me and Jeff were literally saying, weren't we, Jeff, off air, that I think he should be up front of the 2 because I just think that his unpredictability, and his pace and things like that would cause him so many problems, but it'd also allow us to get more of some sort of relationship down that left-hand side. The thing about Arnie is, I agree, he was so frustrated yesterday, but as we alluded to, he got an assist to the goal. At least he's backing up with the numbers. And sometimes I think for this goal that we're talking about, he was frustrating me beforehand. But when he got the ball and he jigged inside, I knew he was scoring. And I do like that about him. But I totally agree. I've been really frustrated with everyone we've seen at left back this season. But Arnie hasn't helped. He's not a left back who's going to develop a partnership, a left winger that's going to develop a partnership with the man behind him, because it just doesn't seem to work. He doesn't seem to be in sync with whoever it is behind him. So I think with Dom's injury as well, that could be an option we might use, putting Arnie up alongside someone. But we'll see. Yeah,
I think you should play Junior that side. We were saying earlier, if you've got Junior, play him there. He's a better player to play that role.
Mm-hmm. There's a few people mentioning Arnie in the same breath as Jordan Ibe, but as Tom said, with the numbers, I mean, is that an unfair assessment, Tom?
Yeah, very unfair. Arnie backs out the numbers at the end of the day. I mean, we've said a few times this season, haven't we, where Junior hasn't done anything all game, and then he scored, and I always say, he's backing it up with numbers, and that's what Arnie did yesterday. He was frustrating. He wasn't as good as he has been for us. He scored and he got an assist. And to be honest, if you can back out with numbers, that's the thing with Brooksy at the moment. He's been very frustrating, but I can't remember the last time he scored or assisted. Do you know what I mean? So that's the difference. And Arnie at times it looked selfish and he wasn't giving the ball when he should. But then when he scored the goal, I thought that's a bit of arrogance that I like. So yeah, it's getting that balance with Arnie, isn't it? But I mean, he's probably done in the last game what Jordan Ibe did in his whole career. So
I think the reason why people make the comparison with Ibe is that they've got one thing very much in common, is that they both stop when they get the ball, because what they've learnt over their childhood or whatever, that their way of beating someone is to stop dead and then knock it straight away and go, and people can't catch them on that 5-yard pace. So that's the frustration I used to have with Ibe, and that sometimes I have with Danjuma. You've got a wonderful flowing move, and when it gets to them, they stop. And I think that's why. But other than that, there is very little to compare between the two.
He's also got this really annoying habit of getting in down that left-hand side, getting behind the fullback, but never crosses with his left foot.
No.
It always will bring the ball back out on his right foot, bring the ball back out, 18 yards back out, and then kick it all the way back to the halfway line. And suddenly you're thinking, hang on a minute, we were just right in behind him.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
And getting in behind teams has been a problem for FC Bournemouth seemingly all season, but there was a time where we did, and that was where Lloyd Kelly was pushing, and he was, as I said, towards the end of the first half, he was supporting Danjuma a little bit more, and there was a flick on from Shane Long where he was put through, and I was just willing him to travel with the ball because he had acres to run into, but he played this quick cross pass that just went straight to the defender, Jeff. It's so frustrating when I saw that.
Yeah, Lloyd is suffering. Tom and I were having a chat during the game yesterday about was he ever any good, and I think he was. I remember last season when he came into the side, you thought, wow, against United at Old Trafford, he played really well as a centre half. He's got the ability. He's frustrating again because he like Danjuma, he sort of slows the pace down rather than goes more direct. I wish he was a bit more Stacey-like in being a bit more assertive, bombing forward, and I don't know, he's lacking in confidence. I do think he's, I don't know, who's the best left back? I'd like to see Zamira play actually on Tuesday just to see what he's like.
I think Lloyd is so frustrating because he's got all the attributes. He's big, he's strong, he's quick, he's powerful. And I just don't. And like we said, I remember when he come in last season, I thought, well, we all know Ake's going to go, but Lloyd Kelly will fill in for him in the Championship, easy. And I feel for Lloyd in the sense that I've made a few comments about Smithy as well, in the sense that he can't hold down a position because they're going, right, you're a centre half, and then next week they're going, actually, Lloyd, can you play left back? Actually, Lloyd, can you play left centre of a three? So he hasn't got any sort of partnerships with other players because he's moving around all the time. And when we go into the second goal, I will say I didn't realise he was the one that won the ball back for us.
He did win the ball back, yeah.
So he deserves credit for that. I didn't realise that at the time. But he's just frustrating me. It's really frustrating me. I like I say, I know there's quality there, but I'm thinking, when was the last time I saw it? And like Neil said last week on Twitter, I reiterated it. Like, now I think Rico's good again. Do you know what I mean? Whichever one plays, I think the other one's good.
I think one of the last moments from him, I remember that I thought, brilliant, was he played a couple of decent crosses in from that left side. I remember one against Brentford low to put Solanke in, and then in the game before that, he was in similar position, just whipped it in first time onto Dom Solanke at the time, who scored. I think that might have been against Reading, but yeah, we didn't see it as much. But like you say, yeah, he set Danjuma free in the second half, who did his usual thing, stopped, cut back, and he played in Brooks, who played in Adam Smith, who dinked it up. And Neil, I don't know about you, but from the time that Jack Wilshere headed it to the time it went in the goal, I think I could have made a cup of tea, because it seemed to take an eternity and hang in the air before it went in.
That's what I said on Twitter. It's like the managerial genius of Jonathan Woodgate. He's worked out that the way to play Jack Wilshere is to get the ball in the air to him in the box. And so no, it was a comical. It was the header of a man who doesn't head a ball. That's what it was, and I think, and that's the only way it was ever going to go in, because he was stretching behind him, and if that had been, say, like a Jan Kermigan, he would have headed that powerfully goalwards, and the goalkeeper would have saved it, because the ball was behind. The ball was behind his neck. So I think Wilshere just got his head on it, and then it set off skywards, and then dropped down into the back of the net. So I can't believe he meant it, but it was great, and it surely is his first headed goal, is it? I don't know enough Arsenal fans to ask, but I cannot believe he scored many headed goals, unless he got a diving header.
Yeah, I thought exactly the same. Exactly the same as Neil. I thought a good header of the ball would have missed. It's really weird, but it almost needed someone that didn't know what they were doing. I mean, when it came off his head, I literally went, "What the get in?" Do you know what I mean? It was. But like you say, a good header of the ball would have just done everything right, and that would have made it easier for the keeper. Yeah. It was almost like the keeper didn't know what was going on. But yeah, chuff Jack. It was really pleased for him to get the goal. I honestly, it'd be interesting to see. I'm surprised there hasn't been a stat come out if he hasn't scored a header before. I can't think of one though. Definitely not.
But that feel-good feeling didn't last very long, though, did it, Jeff? With Hogan equalising, what was it?
Well, we don't have VAR, but that was offside. I mean, you cannot get to that position from when that ball was played and not be offside. I'm sorry.
Well, however, one was just perhaps they were level, and then defenders coming out.
I can't believe it. All you can see on the clip is the camera focusing on the linesman. The linesman is not looking at when the ball's played. The linesman's looking at the line, so he has no idea when that ball was played. And if he was doing his job properly, that has to be flagged. However, I think the communication between the goalkeeper and the back four was pretty poor, because when the ball comes over and they're not going to get there, Begovic needs to take that. He needs to get much closer to the ball than he did and make it much more difficult. But it was one of those. It was sod's law. He thought, oh, here we go again. It's going to be a draw, and I think Birmingham were actually better going forwards than I thought they were going to be, and maybe that's partly a reflection of where we're at as a team. That anyone who plays us at the moment thinks they got a chance, so they up their game, and that's making it doubly difficult, I think.
But when you want a manager to make decisive decisions, Jonathan Woodgate made that choice by bringing Philip Billing on, who then scored the winner. Not even sure he meant the winner, but I mean, he hit it with his wrong foot, I think. But well worked. It was Danjuma again in the thick of the action. Won the free kick, took the free kick, fired it in. I wasn't really sure whether
it was a shot, Sam. It was a flipping shot.
It was a bit of a weird angle to do that, but that's the kind of thing that you can just hit in at pace, and if it gets a touch, it'll probably end up in the net. And Phil Billing was that man, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they scored they equalised, I thought, well, it doesn't matter. We've Billings just come on, just come on the pitch. It was the sub we all wanted to see. The way the game was going, I thought he's got to take Jack Wilshere off and get Phil Billing on. It was written, wasn't it? No, it was. Yeah, it was a shame to go behind, but it was good to see us respond. That was really good. I mean, it was all going to be. I didn't want us to cave in, and then I thought, they could start putting some pressure on here. So it was good. It was good to react. Like I say, Danjuma hit it. Typical Danjuma there, and just having no one else would have tried a shot there. He's just drove it in, but bidding at the back stick, such a cultured finish at the back post. Unbelievable how he's done that. I mean, he didn't even know. It was an unbelievable finish, and.
Right foot, left foot post. It was all three, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. As we've all said, it was a bit of Woodgate genius there, bringing on the match winner. So yeah, never in doubt. As soon as he made that sub.
I mean, the other thing about the substitution, so Shane Long is falling over with cramp.
Yeah.
And he stays on and completes the full 90. Like, what's going on?
It's probably the least eventful debut I can ever remember from a player other than Marcus Painter. I would suggest, but he, in terms of what he contributed, the Billing goal was brilliant as well, because he's a left-footed player. He swung his left foot at it, missed it, and it went in off his right knee and then in off the post. It was comedy gold. It's a shame we've not got the angles we used to have match of the day, because that would have been that would have been great to watch. But no, Shane Long. I think, going back to originally, why did he play in front of Surridge? I think it's half what Tom said in terms of 90 minutes in the cup match coming up. I also think it's part of putting characters into the team. So I think he's talked about how quiet the dressing room is. Shane Long's a really chirpy Irishman. I think he thought, I don't want another child on the young lad on the pitch. I want an experienced pro who's going to shout at people and ruffle things up. So I mean, it didn't really work. That's for sure. I think Surridge would have played better than Shane Long yesterday, but it might have contributed in terms of dressing room before and half time. Who knows?
Oh, I think it's a little bit harsh, because Shane Long did hit the bar, Neil. You know, he did have one.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, arguably, if he takes a slightly better position, he gives himself a better chance of keeping that down and scoring. I also thought he was unlucky with that header, and in the second half, actually, you know, it fizzed wide, really close. Surridge would probably have buried it, but anyway, you know, he did a couple of nice sort of touches, but I don't think we can be too harsh on him, because he hasn't played much. So, yeah.
So, what do we do against Burnley then? Is it a case of keeping up the momentum? Because I've got a feeling that if we put out the youth and put out some players that haven't played in a while, that could all be lost. Tom, what are your thoughts on it?
We've all alluded to in the past how big the squad is. So there's a way of keeping momentum and trying to win a football match, but also resting your men that you don't want to risk. So yes, it's difficult without knowing behind the scenes. So kind of Stanislas was a doubt, and then he was on the bench yesterday, so you thought he was fit, but then he never brought him on, which makes you think he ain't 100% fit. So it makes you think, well, does he need a game, or is he better to be rested? So they're kind of things that only the staff will know. I think Jack Wilshere can't play. You've got to, unfortunately, you've got to look at it in the grand scheme of things. I think, Jack Wilshere, we know his injury record. Don't play him away at Burnley in a game that ultimately is not going to define our season. But you can still put a team out there that can continue the momentum. And like we mentioned there, Sam Surridge is going to have to lead the line. He's going to want to knock on that door again. I think every time Sam Surridge we've said to him, go on, try and stake a claim, he's put a shift in. So I'm happy with that. There's people like, Raquel May that will potentially go, you know what, new manager's coming in. I want to, the wingers ain't performing brilliantly at the moment. I want to show that I can get back in the team. Even in the middle of the park, Ben Pearson is available. So, good chance for him. Billing didn't start the game, good chance for him. Mepham could easily come back in. Wherever we go, Zamora or Rico, we've got Stacey didn't play. We still got a good team out there that will contribute. So I think it's rotation. But yeah, we've just got to be clever. And at the end of the day, it's difficult to say kind of what team I'd put out, because it all depends on how they've all recovered from that game and what the energy levels and fatigue are like within the group. But certainly wouldn't play Jack Wilshere, that's for sure.
There'll be some players with points to prove after the Burnley 3-0 last season. Billing, one of them, and Adam Smith, the other, I think. So get them on the pitch, because I think it'll be quite a tasty game. If we go in with the right attitude, God, I would love it. Absolutely love it if we beat them.
From a VAR penalty. Oh,
so sweet.
There's another key factor here as well that makes it different to any other season, is no matter what Woodgate says about not considering this job, taking each game as it comes, he wants this job. So he will play. So I would be amazed if he doesn't play anything other than a first team at Burnley, because he wants to be able to go to Neil Blake and in a few weeks' time and say, I've won 3 league games and you're in the quarterfinals of the cup. That's what he wants. So that's different to if Jason Tindall has still been the manager or Eddie Howe was the manager. So I would think he will play. He will go as strong as he can, with the exception of maybe resting Wilshere, because Jonathan Woodgate is a player that understands injuries because he had so many bad ones himself. So I would expect the team that we saw on Saturday minus Wilshere and
I agree with that.
And Surridge for Shane Long. Match winner billing will be back in.
But yeah, I think that's a great point that you've got a manager there who's wanting to show what his results are. At the end of the day, when it comes down to it, and say he wants a job, he'll go, well, look, what more do you want me to do? So yeah, I don't think we'll see as many as potentially I would maybe do, or maybe other fans would do. I agree. I think because of the injury situation, I think Wilshere might come out. Maybe it's quite easy to rotate with like a Stacey because you're bringing in someone just as good, if you know what I mean. So I think there might be a couple, but yeah, I don't think there'll be as many as we all expect. I agree with Neil there. So yeah, I think if Burnley make a few changes on paper, I don't think there's going to be a lot in it. To be fair, I think it's a winnable game. It's a difficult game, and they're favourites. Yeah. It's a winnable game, and yeah, before we know it, we're off to Wembley and lifting the trophy. So bring it on. And
all those players who are playing for Premier League clubs, go out and prove that you can do it against a Premier League club. Then.
Yeah, very true, very true. Well, there's an excellent opposition preview that Craig Beasley's put together with a guy called Andy Hodgson, TV presenter. You're famous for being on the shopping channels and also does a lot of work for Burnley. It's hilarious. That's coming up on this channel a bit later on today. He's a bit of a salesman by trade. I mean, he used to sell to people on TV. So Craig asked him to sell what supporting Burnley Football Club is like 30 seconds. And he almost made it sound good. But yeah, really, really interesting. You've got to check that out. He's the Alan Partridge. He's the self-styled Alan Partridge of TV presenting. So yeah, you need to check that out later on today. Guys, thank you very much for that today.
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And remember that myself and Tom Jordan there, we're going to be doing a watch along during the Burnley game. That's a 5:30 kickoff, so we'll be on air from 5:15 giving our reactions to things. And of course, you can come along on live chat and join us. We'd be loving to have your company. Thanks so much. See you in the next video.